The Bount Arc is stupid, and that's why those clowns have never made an appearance in any of the video games, whether they are canon or non-canon. Now, I'm under the impression that when an anime gets picked up like Bleach, these studios get a bunch of production notes from the mangaka. This allows them to get plot elements, the timeline, and how certain characters should be designed, but they still choose to take their own liberties. I mean, the Bount Arc takes place right after Soul Society, and they introduce by name the 10th Kenpachi. Technically, the 10th Kenpachi wasn't hinted at until Turn Back the Pendulum, and by canon in Spirits Are Forever With You, Kenganjo is defeated by Zaraki. But despite whether Kubo was involved or not, I think it's pretty obvious Masashi Shogo, who was the writer for the Bount Arc, used some type of production notes, including Kenpachi Zaraki and the 10th Kenpachi. I think it's pretty obvious. However, the non-canon character Maki Ichinose, who's often ignored, has a huge piece of lore tied to him and Riatsu and what the various colors can mean in the world of Bleach.
You cannot see my sword no matter how hard you may try to.
Like a broken record, if you've been watching my videos breaking down Bleach, we know its foundation is built on Buddhism. Maki and his Zanpakuto, Nijigasumi, connect to the concept of the rainbow body in Buddhism, which the use of Buddhism is about the only thing they got right in the Bount Arc. However, in Japanese folklore, rainbows are associated with snakes, and you can see this directly in the specific kanji used to spell out his weapon. The kanji for rainbow, Niji, is literally made up of the radical for snake or insect, combined with the character for craft or pierce. It paints the picture of a sky serpent clearing the heavens. Now, Nijigasumi is not just a nod to old Japanese folklore. In Buddhism, the rainbow body represents the highest level of spiritual realization. So when you pass away, your physical body dissolves and it becomes multicolored light at the moment you die. When you look at how spiritual energy operates in Bleach, and the fact that they are Shinigami, which are death gods, it's kind of been thrown right in front of us. If you asked me before I made this video, I just thought it was his inspiration from Toriyama, who used Ki. He is also multicolored in Dragon Ball, but finding out this little piece of lore and finding it through a non-canon character like Maki just kind of pulls back the layers even more on this story, and there are some interesting connections made, especially when you look at the Riatsu colors and how they line up with certain Shinigami. For example, blue represents universal compassion, peace and loving kindness towards all living things. While it was anime only for Ichigo's Riatsu to be blue, canonically, the Quincy's are blue, and despite their war with the Goatee 13, the Quincy's fundamentally see themselves as protectors looking out for the survival of all of humanity. White, Odata, it symbolizes liberation outside of time and space, and the purity of the Dharma. This mirrors Ichigo's inner journey. He could not achieve liberation or become whole until he stopped fighting with White, his inner hollow, and completely accepts him. White is also the color of Rukia's Riatsu, who goes on a journey of acceptance, fully earning her last name as Akutsuki, molding her former identity from the Rukangai into her adopted one of nobility. She still falls in love with Renji as well, whose Riatsu is red, which is also called Lohita, which represents the raw blessings of practice, virtue, and achievement and dignity. This represents Renji's journey from confliction over his feelings for Rukia because of her noble status and feeling inadequate, seeing himself as nothing but a dog, to earning his right to standing next to Byakuya as his vice captain. This is also Ichigo's desire and passion manifesting. Red becomes mixed in with his Riatsu in this Hollow 5 Bunkai form. Green. The green Riatsu of Ukiura Segunda Atapa represents the bittersweet defeat of nihilism. As he turns to ash and he finally discovers the true meaning of heart, it brings balance to his mind. But just like with Ichigo, Ukiura has another color accompanying his evolution as well too. Anytime Kubo has portrayed the pinnacle of power in Bleach, it has always been portrayed or accompanied with black. Now, I have seen the first 3 episodes of the final Cour in theaters, so this information about Black Riatsu is new information in the series. So if you have not seen those first 3 episodes yet, quick spoiler warning. However, black is the color of the Soul King. It is the primordial chaos that constructed the universe before the 3 worlds were ever divided. The black that Ichibe uses and he wields for his power is actually the Riatsu of the Soul King. In Buddhism, black represents the heavy, unawakening aspect of the mind, but it also carries a massive protective meaning as well. It symbolizes the untamed consciousness before it's transformed into wisdom. This maps perfectly onto Ichibe. He is the ultimate defender of the realm as the leader of Squad Zero. The Quincy's, and this is stated in the movie with new information, specifically designated him a special war power because of his boundless wisdom. When we see Ichibe drinking the black Riatsu of the Soul King in the, I believe, first episode, he is literally consuming the primordial darkness that constructed the world. Now, the remaining colors of the rainbow body are yellow and orange, and they represent the middle way, which is the core Buddhist philosophy of avoiding extremes, and the unshakable wisdom of Buddhist teachings. When you combine all of these colors together, you get the universal truth. Now, look at Ichigo's exact genetic makeup. He is a blend of human, Quincy, Soul Reaper, Fullbringer, and Hollow, a wide spectrum of lights reflecting off of a golden body, just like the rainbow body. And to bring it all home and to tie it together, while the anime originally gave Ichigo blue energy, his official canonical color in the manga is gold. Gold is the most sacred color in Buddhism, representing the sun, absolute purity, and the highest state of spiritual awakening. I believe the existence of gold and black Riatsu are the highest forms of power, and both originate directly from the Soul King. When Jushiro Ukitake sacrificed his life in the Thousand-Year Blood War to keep the world from collapsing, he unleashed Mimihagi, the right hand of the Soul King. What color was his Riatsu? It was black. However, when Pernita fought, stating clearly they have always been Quincy and represent the left hand of the Soul King, what color was his Riatsu? It was gold. When these two Pacific colors meet, they tell a story of spiritual transformation. In sacred Buddhist art, gold paint is often applied onto black lacquer backgrounds. The black background represents the emptiness of the unrefined mind, while the glowing gold lines represent the light of wisdom, cutting through that darkness. It's a visual reminder that enlightenment cannot exist separate from the ordinary life. This is the exact ideological battle between Yhwach and Ichigo. Yhwach wants to build a world where fear of death is entirely removed, while Ichigo completely embraces that fear as a natural part of living. And I believe personally the best symbolism for all of this is when Ichigo's Getsuga Jojisho hits Yhwach's Almighty. Now, I saw this in the episode 1 premiere in theaters, but you can still see this in the Final Cour trailers as well too. It's kind of funny how all of these thoughts come from the Bount Arc, which is the arc that people skip and hate the most, but it doesn't have any involvement from Kubo, so I completely understand. I just find it entertaining when I see these little things like Machi Ichinose, and I can make these really, really large connections. But to end this off, it's so funny that this connection came from the Bount Arc, which Kubo hates, because the part about Gold Riatsu, even though gold is a part of the rainbow body, my ideas and thoughts about Gold Riatsu did not come from the Bount Arc. It came from the Hellverse movie, which Kubo also hates. However, despite what's canon versus non-canon, Gold Riatsu appears to have been something that Kubo wanted established in the series since chapter 1. With Ichigo being a cross-section of life and a Soul King candidate, it just makes sense, like with Mimihagi and Pernita, for him to have both black and gold Riatsu. Just like Yhwach, the son of the Soul King. You can see the black and gold in the aesthetic of the Almighty. It's in the eyes, just like Ichigo's eye with the Horn of Salvation, which is similar to the Kushinada's eyes in the Hellverse movie. And this is what I mean when I say somebody has production notes, because even when Kubo's ideas are misused, they're still in the ballpark of what he was going for with his retcons. I watched the Bount Arc on MySpace video, sometimes broken up over 8 parts. I could never truly hate this arc. I have so much of my teenage years from 14 to 15 tied to just watching an arc that has nothing to do with the main canon of Bleach. But at the end of the day, who cares? It was fun at the time, and even as an adult looking back, I still laughed at some of the episodes because they were just nonsense. They retconned so much information. There were times, and it may just be because the arc got boring, where it felt like it was longer than the Soul Society arc at one point. However, the rainbow body symbolism I pulled, I think that's just me being able to make those connections based off of that one interview where Kubo talks about the Buddhist ties in Bleach and being just studied and well-versed in that particular area. However, I do believe Black and Gold Riatsu is going to have a major part in the future of Bleach. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, they already introduced new information in episode 1 of the Final Cour. I hope, and it's on my wish list, that later on that they will introduce more information around Gold Riatsu, because it seems just as important as Black Riatsu and Bleach. But that's all. I don't want to spend too much time rambling. But also, if you made it this far, just a heads up, the Bleach videos until the Final Cour release are going to slow down just a little bit so I can concentrate on some other manga. I've been reading a ton of other stories outside of Bleach, and I just want to bring those to the channel. YouTube's algorithm, I can tell once you get stuck into a particular niche category, is going to keep you there, but I don't want to just get stuck 100% on Bleach content. It's going to be 100% a part of my channel at all times, but there's so many other stories that I also read, from vintage manga, new gen, modern gen, any gen. I just read what's cool, and I want to bring those stories to you guys. And if you want to be a part of that ride, don't forget to subscribe, turn on alerts. I am Zaku Zealot. Thanks for watching. Peace out.